Okay, so morning Brios. I'm going to show you a little bit about the history of fire and some of the technology and some of the techniques that humans have used through history. So I like to kind of start at the beginning. Now that takes us back about 13.8 billion years to basically the Big Bang. So that's the beginning of matter, the beginning of time. So a good few billion years after that, about 3.4 billion years ago, planet Earth sort of formed. It began to form, and then this great big rock called Theia smashed into planet Earth, and a big chunk came off and got our moon, and the rest of it was planet Earth. So that was about 3.4 billion years ago, and kind of people think, oh, this massive rock smashing into Earth, the whole of the Earth must have been just fires and volcanoes and flaming everything. And they think fire has been there since the beginning of the Earth, but it's not really true. So the Earth is about 3.4 billion years old, but the first fire, the first flame on planet Earth, we didn't get until about 600 million years ago. So for billions of years, literally billions of years, there was no fire on Earth. We had to wait for all these little microbes to start processing all the gases around in the atmosphere to turn them enough into atmospheric oxygen to actually get fire. So fire on Earth is actually a relatively recent thing when you look at the scale of the universe. And when we think about humans using fire, because that's what we are going to be talking about, I'm human and we're going to be using fire. So people sort of think, oh, how old is the oldest human that used fire? And they think about cavemen in sort of small caves, getting rocks and smashing them together and trying to get sparks out of it. And it's not really the case. So we are Homo sapiens, and Homo sapiens has been around for about 350,000 years. So some of the oldest ones we find in North Africa. And alongside those Homo sapiens that long ago, there was another kind of human called Homo neanderthal. And there was another kind of human called Homo denisovians. And before all of that, there was Homo habilis, and before them, there was Homo erectus. And everybody thinks it's the cavemen, the Homo sapiens in these rock caves, who were the first ones to get fire. And that's why we got so good at everything else and technology and went to space and everything. But that's not really true. So archaeologists have found that fires were first being used by humans about 1 or 2 million years ago. So the use of fire is earlier than us as Homo sapiens, which is why I personally think that we have such a strong connection to fire, because fire was around before we were. We evolved, we grew to be the humans we are very, very much because we exploited fire and because we used fire. We didn't create it, we didn't have that technology. We probably learnt it from Neanderthals who we sort of intermingled with. We learnt it from other sort of humans who we were around on the globe, and that's why it's so important to us as humans to recognise the use of fire, because it evolved with us. You could almost argue that it created Homo sapiens. So we're going to go into sort of some of the history of fire and some of the methods that we, as the Paleolithic, the really early cave humans, used right through to the modern age, right through to the space age, and the kind of functionality that we have around the technology that creates fire in our 21st century space age methods. So we're going to start at the beginning. I'm going to show you some of those early methods that the early Homo sapiens we know were using.